How does this end? Somebody in Russia has to step up to the plate. Is there Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military? The only way this ends, my friend, is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out. You would be doing your country a great service and the world a great service.
All right, everybody. It is Friday here in Athens, Greece, and I'm going to do a really quick update right before we do a live show on the Duran. And first thing we got to talk about, you just saw the video with Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, calling for the assassination of Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's actually calling on some military officials or somebody in Moscow to have a Brutus moment Brutus, and assassinate Caesar, right? To take out Vladimir Putin, because according to Lindsey Graham, the world will be a much better place, and Russia will be a much better place. For Lindsey Graham, it'll be a much better place because him and his buddies will be able to pillage Russia the way they did in the 90s. So Lindsey Graham, an American senator, calling for the assassination of a foreign leader. Lindsey Graham is absolutely hysterical. And you know why he's hysterical? Because he sees the Ukraine project that he and his buddy, John McCain, helped put together in 2013-14 with the coup Maidan, start crashing to the ground, burning to the ground, and he is getting hysterical. He also sees that the globalist world order that he's a fan of is also crashing and burning. And so he is getting hysterical, and he's calling for the actual assassination of the president of Russia. We should take his words seriously. This is not a joke. I mean, he's hysterical and he's in panic, but he's also serious because the U.S. has done this before. When Libya was looking to move away from the dollar system and create some sort of gold dinar in Africa, they assassinated Gaddafi. They sodomized him and they assassinated him, and they caught it on video, and it was a horrible and horrific thing to watch. And Hillary Clinton, her response to all of that was, we came, we saw, he died. This was the Obama administration, and we all know what happened to Libya. The country fell apart, civil war, slave trades, just pure destruction. And the gold, well, who knows where the gold went? I mean, we all know where the gold went, but who knows? You know what I mean? You guys catch my drift. And so, that's the thing with Ukraine. And this is not about the conflict or anything that's going on here. War is terrible. But everyone needs to understand that Ukraine, for the better part of 8 years, when Obama threw the democratically elected president, Yanukovych, you don't have to like Yanukovych or have any opinion. He was corrupt as well, but he was democratically elected. For this, there's no doubt about it, and there was a coup. Ukraine after that election was a windfall. I mean, that was the go-to money pit, money trail. What do you call it in English? I don't even know. That's where they were making money. All of these globalist elites, they would give Ukraine these loans and this aid, and they would sell weapons to Ukraine, and the money would go to Ukraine, and it would, be laundered out the back door via Cyprus, a country that I know very, very well, via Cyprus and Latvia, and end up back in their pockets. That's how you wash the money. You take the taxpayer money, you say you're going to give it to Ukraine in order to fight the Russians and to arm the Ukrainians, or to give them aid so that they could one day enter NATO or the European Union. And that money goes to Ukraine, and you pay off oligarchs, you pay off various government officials, and then you also take a bunch of that money and you move it out the back door, and you get it back to your pocket. And of course, $80,000 for Hunter a month, and all of these things. So they're seeing all of this crashing and falling apart, and that's why you see Lindsey Graham, in absolute hysteria and panic. But you have to take them seriously because they did this before. They assassinated Gaddafi. I mean, this is just a fact. So that's Lindsey Graham. You had the nuclear power You had the nuclear power plant in Zaporozhye, and I'm calling BS on this. I don't know what happened. The last reports I've gotten is that the Russians do have control of that nuclear power plant. But all the news that the Russians were shelling that area and they were looking to create some nuclear meltdown is BS. And I'll tell you why I think it's BS. Now, there might have been fighting because the Russian military, I'm sure, wants to secure that area. And there might have been firefighting, and there might have been some sort of fight in that power plant, and there might have been a building on fire for which you had to call the firefighters in. But from what I understand, it was an administrative building. I'm having trouble talking for some reason today. It was an administrative building that caught fire, and it was nowhere near the actual reactors, and the reactors were never in danger. But the media jumped on it, of course, to create fear porn. They want to get the message out that Russia's now looking to create some sort of nuclear meltdown because the Russians are just pure evil, and it doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you why it doesn't make any sense. Number one, why would Russia want to create a nuclear meltdown in a reactor that's located right next to Crimea and right next to Russia going east? Why would they want to, have this happen and cause so much suffering for their own people, especially at a time now when Putin's approval rating is skyrocketing? It's at like 76%. And Russians are 100% behind this operation. Why would they want to do that? It doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever. And they wouldn't want anything to happen to the Ukrainian people either, because, the one thing that you have to admit, and you have to be honest about this, and once again, this is not about me taking sides on the war or anything. You have to be honest. The Russians went into Ukraine, very soft, like Scott Ritter, a military analyst, has said multiple times, or like Gonzalo Lira says multiple times, the Russians tiptoed into this because they don't want to destroy the infrastructure. They're trying to minimize damage because they don't want the country destroyed. They want to capture the country. They don't want to destroy the country. They don't want to conquer the country. They want to capture it. Yes, they want to put their own government in place. Absolutely. They want their own puppet government. They want a government that's going to be friendly to Russia and do what Russia wants. This goes without question. This is realpolitik. They're looking for a regime change. But they also want the country intact. And they've gone in for 8 days. They've left the internet up. They've left communications up. They've left electricity up. They haven't damaged the water. None of these things. So why all of a sudden, willy-nilly, would they look to demolish a nuclear reactor? It makes zero freaking sense. And finally, the Russians are the experts when it comes to nuclear energy and nuclear reactors. They are very powerful when it comes to gas, natural gas, and oil, yes. But something that many Western media outlets do not report is their absolute dominance in the nuclear energy field, the nuclear energy industry. They build reactors. They know how reactors work. For Christ's sakes, they probably built that reactor, so they probably know all the ins and outs of that reactor. So they're not going to sit there and shell it indiscriminately and just say, let's blow the whole thing apart. It's absolutely silly. It makes zero freaking sense. Do they want to secure that area? Yes. Was there probably some sort of fighting there? Yes. Was there shelling looking to create a nuclear meltdown? No. Were the nuclear reactors ever at risk? My opinion, my hunch, I'm not an expert, but just using logic, I would say absolutely not. Last reports I've gotten are that those reactors, that area has now been secured by the Russian military. I can't, say this with absolute certainty, and everything I say on this video, it's a fluid situation and things can change, but the last reports I got is that the Russians have secured that area. We just got to use our head. All of this stuff coming out of the media is absolutely meant for propaganda purposes, and it's fear, P-O-R-N. Fear, P-O-R-N. War is terrible. It's horrible. Mistakes do happen. But I believe with regards to fighting in and around reactors, I think all sides, the Ukraine side, the Russian side, even the U.S. side, they must be saying, look, let's be careful. That would be what I would like to think. And I believe the Russians, for the three reasons I just said previously, would not risk having any type of accident happening in and around those reactors. As far as the situation in the east, the last reports I've received are that cauldron, which has those Azov battalion guys, has pretty much sealed. It's snapped into place, and those guys are surrounded. 15, I've heard anywhere from 14, 15 brigades, 5,000 soldiers of brigades. You're looking around 70, 75,000, 60 to 80,000, let's say. Let's put it there. Ukraine soldiers are now trapped there. They will be given a choice: face annihilation or surrender. I believe the Azov neo-NAZIs will fight to the death. I believe the Ukraine military guys will want to go home to their family. And Mariupol as well, where the Azov battalion is really entrenched in Mariupol, the city just down south from that cauldron, that East Ukraine cauldron. It's surrounded, and those Azov guys, it's going to be tough. It's going to be brutal urban warfare, but make no mistake about it, those Azov neo-NAZIs are going to get absolutely demolished. It's just going to happen. As far as the Azov battalion goes, everybody, Jimmy Dore, exposed them in a big way. Check out his video. I'll put a link down below. He's been doing excellent reporting. Dr. Steve Turley has been doing fantastic reporting. There are some very good sources that are just bringing truth to this. They're not taking sides. They're just bringing truth. And with regards to the Azov, sunlight is starting to shine on who the Azov guys were, their connections to McCain. The report that Jimmy Dore did, he talked about Freeland. So for everyone watching in Canada, they actually mentioned Freeland. I believe Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone mentions Freeland. These guys are nasty. These guys are nasty freaking guys, and they do exist, and they are a big problem, not only in Ukraine, but in all of Europe. And, I'm just curious to see, when all of this is said and done, how members in Congress, how the neoliberal corporations, how the NGOs, how all the athletic organizations, how the mainstream media news pundits, forget CNN and MSNBC, take a look at like Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson, and I like them. I'm fans of their show. I'm very much a fan of Tucker Carlson. How are they going to explain the Azov battalion to their viewers? I'm really curious to see if they dare go there. Tucker might go there because Tucker, he's got guts. And I'd be curious to see if Tucker and his staff will actually look into the Azov battalion, will look into John McCain's meetings with Oleg Tianenbuk, and the right sector, and all of these guys, and how, in much the same way, Obama was funding the moderate rebels in Syria in order to overthrow Assad. Remember, Assad must go. They were running the same playbook in Ukraine by funding and arming these really nasty, far right forces to create some sort of instability in the region and hopefully lead to some sort of regime change in Russia, or at the very minimum, instability in Russia. So just a really bad situation. But they were running the same playbook in Syria in a way, and they are trying to run the same playbook in Syria now. You got foreign mercenaries now coming into Ukraine. You've got prisoners who have been freed from prison. People that were in prison, nasty characters, were freed by the Zelensky government. You have citizens with guns, and now criminal gangs have all these guns, and they're fighting it out in the streets of Kiev and Kharkiv. The gunfighting in Kiev and Kharkiv is not from the Russian military. It's from these criminals and these mafias and these warlords, fighting it out to gain territory. Those are the gunfights that are now happening in Kiev. It's crazy. It's madness. But they're trying to create a Syria, proxy war situation. I don't think it'll work, but I think that's the plan C now that they're trying to implement. And of course, you got Lindsey Graham, who's going hysterical, and now is just calling on the outright assassination of Vladimir Putin. Anyway, guys, that's the update. That's the video. Always keep your eye on what's happening to the cauldron in the east. When those soldiers are completely wiped out or they surrender, it is the end of the military in Ukraine. That's it. That military is over. So I heard 16,000 foreign mercenaries are coming in. It's not going to help. The Russian military is going to annihilate these guys, and they don't consider them prisoners of. They won't consider them prisoners of war, or they won't extend Geneva Convention laws to these mercenaries that are, flowing into Ukraine. So it's just really reckless that foreign governments are encouraging fighters to go to Ukraine because they're just sending them to their death and to their annihilation. It's really sad to see. But look, this is the truth, and this is what's happening. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, everybody, and get to the live show that we're going to do. TheDuran.locals.com. Take care.